to invite the silence with my singing bowl. We'll take a minute to settle in, and then Tina will introduce our theme.
Thank you, Lori. Welcome, everyone, and good to see you all. I'm going to begin by going into what the theme of this service is. We're exploring what it means to let go of what is holding us back from realizing our dreams of who and what we can become. According to Richard Roy, the word change normally refers to new beginnings. According to him, the mystery of transformation more often happens not when something new begins, but when something old falls apart. I have these law of attraction cards here. And so this morning I pulled one out. And funny enough, this is the one I got. Okay. It says, the universe will show me the right path to take to reach my goal. I found that interesting and funny that I got this card on this particular morning, very serendipitous. I'm at a point in my life where it's definitely been about seeing and understanding what's being shown, which is not always the case. I want to begin our gathering with another theme, which is also relevant in transitioning: expansion and contraction. Here I'm referring to it in the psycho-spiritual growth perspective. We have a choice to expand or to contract. Contraction stems from fear, from stress, from not having our basic needs for safety or belonging fulfilled. Contraction comes from expectations and attachments of not being in control, or the fear of being unable to successfully navigate the rough seas of this life. Sometimes it is necessary to contract, to protect yourself. Unfortunately, many of us get stuck in the protective place and stagnate. Expansion comes from love, from feeling safe and cared for, from being patient and compassionate toward ourselves. Expansion comes from being accepting and understanding of others. It comes from letting go of criticism of self and of others. The flow of life and balance is the rhythm between contraction and expansion. Not negative, not positive. These spaces are spiritually illuminated and neutral. Today's service is about these themes of growth, transformation, and the thresholds of change. Now I want to do a simple exercise to help illustrate this. So I'm going to ask you to take your hands, okay? I'm going to ask you to just follow along with me and to make a fist. Hold it for a moment. Okay, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now release. Okay, wiggle your hands. Move them around. Okay, let's repeat that. Contract them. And release them, wiggling them. Do you notice the difference when your hands are in the fist as opposed to when they're being wiggled? I'm going to give you some time to just think about that for a second. Okay. Now I want you to take a deep breath in. You could put your hands to your chest, and I'm going to ask you to hold it, but since I'm going to speak, okay, you don't have to hold it if I talk too long, because I don't want anyone passing out on screen, okay? So here we go. Ready, everyone? Take a deep breath in. I want you to feel the tightness through your body as you hold that breath. Now release it. Okay, I need you to really breathe out when you release it, okay? So let's do that again. Take a deep breath in. And take a deep breath out. Do you notice anything in your body in that particular movement? Just, I want you to think about that, hold that for a moment. Now I'm going to ask you if you like, I'm going to get up, and if you would like to follow me, I'm going to just demonstrate another contraction expansion with our body. I'm going to ask that you, if you are following this, are going to put your chin to your chest, and you're going to put your head down. And then you're going to take your arms and just sort of contract your body in. Stay there for a moment. Feel your body in this position. How does it feel to you? Now I'm going to ask you to start with your arms, bringing them up, and then let your head follow. Let your chin come up and open yourself up to your ceiling, to your sky, to whatever you are, wherever you are, if you're doing this. I'm going to ask you to do that again. Let's all contract, putting our chin to our chest, our head down, and bringing our body in. Hold that. And now release. Okay, sorry, while I get myself settled. Okay. I wonder, as you notice the sensations in your body, as you did each of those, did it feel different to you? How did it feel? Okay. Was one better than the other? I think that we would agree that we can't all be in a contraction position with our hands all the time, because what will we be able to get done walking around like this? But we can't be like this either the whole time. They have to be in unison, right? They have to flow together. And so that is what the theme of this service is, the flow of the contraction and expansion in order for the growth to come. So thank you for participating in that. I'm going to pass the focus to Lori, who's going to talk about her own reflections on this theme.
Thank you, Tina. That was beautiful, and I really appreciated the opportunity to get up and stretch. This is the time of year when high school and college commencements are taking place, and surely somebody somewhere will mention The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. I mentioned it at my Air Force retirement ceremony 6 years ago this weekend. I told my fellow service members and my family about the road I did take, which brought me to that moment in time and has carried me on into this present moment, this road that led me to Chime. My spiritual path has been in transition my entire life. From my childhood as a Catholic to my early days as a born-again Christian at age 20, to my years in the Air Force moving around and finding new churches at every assignment, I learned and grew in my conservative evangelical Christian faith, beliefs, and practices. But it was a very constricted worldview. The need to be right, to have answers, and certainly, God forbid, I didn't want to be on the slippery slope to hell. The evangelical Christian life was an uphill climb, and if you weren't moving forward, you were in danger of backsliding. I was getting tired and afraid, but so help me, I was obedient. In the evangelical world, people frequently change churches. As I said, that was built into my life during my career. Each new church offered fellowship, community, and spiritual growth. And questions, doubts, and anxieties when something I heard didn't sit well with me, but I was told that it was right. Trying to listen to God, but taught not to trust my own wisdom. Looking to others as authority figures for guidance. But also, I was gaining an incrementally expanding worldview as I found churches with a more relaxed, come as you are vibe, low pressure on trying to make converts, and more able to receive people where they were at. Brian McLaren, in his provocatively titled book, Do I Stay Christian?, discusses his four-stage model of Christian development. Like the rings of a tree, each stage is progressively more expansive. Reading about these stages gave me a framework for the path I've been on. My journey these past few decades has taken me away from a very simplistic, right versus wrong, the Bible has all the answers worldview, as I began to see how the way of Jesus had been twisted through the centuries by a hierarchy whose closed worldview often and probably unintentionally did more harm than good. I read stories of other people's faith journeys whose path didn't mirror mine. I became interested in social justice issues. I changed my political affiliation. My heart broke open to take in the LGBTQ community after I read about Matthew Shepard. I wrote to a pastor from my early days. Remember when we were young and thought we had all the right answers because we had God? Life in a nice, neat package? I'm learning to be content living with mystery instead of certainty. Being in Chime has accelerated this process for me. I'm currently deconstructing, where I open the boxes containing my faith and practices, take out each one, and decide what still works and what to let go of. Chime has been a safe and good place for me to do this transitional work of expanding into a more generous worldview and a more authentic version of myself. So next we will have an open heart meditation by Sarah Blondin, and if you'll just give me a minute to cue that up.
What if you could use the power of your mind to start losing the weight that you want to permanently? Does it feel like you've tried everything to lose weight?
We're living in a time where everything is very high contrast. So we're seeing a lot of really beautiful evolution of souls and spirit. And we're also seeing a lot of heartache and hardship. And they're living side by side. I truly believe that if we are to access our hearts, the world will begin to thrive. When we are living in the seat of our hearts, we are forgiving, we are creating, we are letting go, we are letting in, and we're no longer operating from the mind, which is often a very fearful, kind of frantic place. So if we were all to kind of move down into our bodies and hearts, we would see one another as these kind of sacred tools that can help us harvest and excavate and create this magnificent world. One of the first and easiest ways to make your way back home to your heart is to give yourself permission. That seems elementary and silly, but it's really important that we tell ourselves that we are allowed. So I'm just going to guide you through a really short practice now that you can even do with me, and it will just open the door to your heart. So we can just get cozy. And just really settle into this beautiful body of ours. And let our body do what it knows best, which is just breathe. And I just want to start off by saying that I know a part of you is afraid to take authority for your life. I know a part of you is afraid to take your life in your own sacred hands. That maybe you're afraid to step into your heart. But I know another part of you is not. I know another part of you is longing for this moment to hear these words. I know another part of you feels relieved, excited at being given this opportunity, at giving yourself this opportunity. So all I want you to do now is just gently place your hands over top of your heart and maybe gently bow toward your heart in sort of a sweet surrender. And just repeat, I give myself permission to become my heart. 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 I give myself permission to become my truth. And really feel that in your body, the recognition. Notice how your body responded. Notice how it softened or maybe sent goosebumps of affirmation. Or maybe opened a bit more where it was closed. Notice that life was calling you to your life. And smile. Realizing your agency, realizing your potency, realizing that this is your land. This is your earth. This is your kingdom. This life is for you, dear one. Just opening your eyes, feeling that flood of joy. It's really that simple.
Very good. So I'll turn this back to Tina, and she will give us her reflection.
What was that video? Because I wanted us all to share in opening our heart. When I came across it, I thought about that because here I am, a person who I thought always came from my heart. But I realized how much it was really in my head. Anyway, So I'm going to share my reflection with you as to how that transformation in my journey in chime really got me from here to here. Oh, excuse me. This has been a year full of changes for me. Some have been by choice, while others have sort of happened on their own. The ebbs and flow of life have brought days of happiness as well as those of sorrow. It is said that change is the only constant. For me, the one constant, along with change, were my spiritual practices, which became more consistent. They included writing, music, and meditation. This period of time where I increased my faith practices allowed me a deeper understanding that we could only control ourselves. People may disappoint or upset you. Situations you wish you could change may come up. In the end, you could only control how and when you choose to react to them. The key is not to resist the changes that come your way, but instead let life live through you. I started this fall full of excitement for my new adventures as a chime first-year student. I'd spent most of the summer tending to my garden and landscape. The fall was going to be a time of change, both literally and metaphorically. I made a decision to look inwardly to more joy and opportunities for growth. Becoming a chime student seemed to fit into that path. I took time off from my other commitments and was going to explore Maine, spend time getting to know new friends from chime, and also spend more time self-caring for myself, mentally, physically, and emotionally. At the end of October, the universe decided to show me who was actually in control. I fell, shattering my ankle, and needed surgery. All my plans shifted. In addition to surgery, I had to be off my feet for 12 weeks. No weight bearing. For me, that seemed like a complete impossibility, and I was sure to go crazy. I began to think about how I could modify that prognosis. I could convince my surgeon that I needed less time for recuperation. I could hop around on crutches and get some sort of wheeled assistant equipment and that would allow me to be mobile. However, because my injury was perfectly terrible, it was going to be on the longer end of the recovery timeline. I quickly understood that what needed to change was my perception of the recovery and not the game plan itself. I was in my mind letting my old negative self-talk and judgments cloud what was necessary for my healing. Could I let go of these limiting beliefs and grow? Was I ready to be exposed and give up control? I needed to expand my emotions into a place of positivity, love, and kindness for myself for a new transition to begin. This led me to look very deeply at what was happening to me and why I had put forth the intention of increased self-care in the fall, and here I was with nothing to do with nothing but time to allow it. Why then was I so incredibly uncomfortable with it? This space in between the bardo of the transition, where the understanding change is needed and it actually happening, is difficult. What beliefs about myself that I need to reconsider? Why did I feel this way to begin with? Could I let go of ego and ease into the edges of evolution? Could I let go of myself and who I thought I was? It was this journey that led to today's topic for this service. As it is for many of us, I formed these misconceptions at a very young age. My self-esteem and patterns of behavior were very tied to my relationship with my immediate family, and in particular with my mother. Even though these beliefs were no longer serving me or what I wanted in life, I struggled to change my path. I was stuck in it. After my accident, I knew that I was being given a gift I had not given myself before, that of time for myself with little to do but explore inwardly. Yes, my body needed to heal, but more significantly, I knew my mind needed to heal as well. This opening to that change started within me before my accident and incredibly led to the healing of my relationship with my mother, where the original hurt began. In recognizing and accepting that I was in this moment of time where this was the reality of my circumstance, and leaning into that growth, an amazing outcome resulted. I began a different and reciprocal relationship with my mother that had eluded me. Before my first year in Chime, the relationship I had with her was almost non-existent. There had been years of hurt, discord, and attempts of reconciliation that went nowhere. When I entered this Interfaith chaplaincy program in September, I took the first step towards this new journey. Our lessons about the victim triangle, boundaries, and different forms of spiritual practices and community that I have learned to not only love, but also rely upon with the seeds of change for me. The accumulation of these events, along with my newfound gift of time, were the perfect storm happening within me. When I decided to let go of my ego and just flow into the moment, I was able to expand my emotions. Instead of staying contracted in the negative ones, I allowed acceptance, love, compassion, and empathy to grow in me. I gave myself and my mother the gift of forgiveness. Interestingly, she did not ask for it or even know that it was given. The forgiven was for me, a gift I chose for myself, and then it trickled out to her. I could not see how much my frustration, disappointment, blame, anger, and judgment, along with my fear and anxiety, had kept me constricted and contracted in this relationship. I had to let it go. I had tried several times in the past to change our dynamic and start anew, but I could not understand that it was my perception which had to grow and expand for a real change to come. As I mentioned before, I could only control my end and thoughts, and although I always knew that, something was missing. This brings to mind a Rumi quote, which I love. The wound is the place where the light enters you. Light helps to make things visible and can teach you to see what you have been blind to before. We all experience pain and sorrow, misfortune in life. No road is free from bumps. The key is to not fall blind in the moments of darkness and dwell in self-pity, but to allow the light to enter you and show you all that you cannot see. In choosing to move into the lighted path with my mother, I decided that I could no longer allow the ghosts of our past to haunt me, but maybe I could allow for those ancestors to travel with me on a new path. I put in the hard work, I cried the tears I needed to, and let those emotions move through me. I grieved for what I lost and for what I thought I should have. In doing that, I could just be. I became the vessel for change, holding whatever needed to be held. I showed up naked and empty, as one of my instructors so nicely expressed to us. In doing that, our relationship was no longer the sum total of the hurts we experienced and shared together, but the aggregate of our life together. By the way, I thought I'd been doing this for years, but my relationship didn't improve. By recognizing my mother as a person who did her best, accepting her flaws, and finally seeing her humanity, transcendence was possible. When I talk with her now, I remember that I am a wonderful cook, hostess, and gardener because she modeled that for me. I speak Italian fluently because she taught me that and was proud of our culture and heritage. Lastly, like the wings of a bird, our relationship has helped me to understand both are necessary to move forward. The bad moments allow gratitude to flourish for the good ones. I hope that in talking about this very personal experience of mine and sharing what happened to me, it could resonate with some and possibly help with any transitions you are going through. In preparing for this service and writing this reflection, I've spoken to others about changes in their lives. I've come to this conclusion. Change is uncomfortable. It requires a lot from you. The space in between the bardo can make you want to run and hide, and it is okay to do that sometimes. However, for transitions to happen, one needs to persevere and come out the other side of it. You try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, you let them live through you. People who can confront their fears and move through them are then free to reach their dreams. At the end of the day, you're the only one holding yourself back. I'd like to offer a reflection on this theme to you all out there. If you would take a pencil and your paper, or maybe just sit and think about this for a few minutes, I want to pose this to you. When we let our defenses down, we become transparent. So the Spirit of God can be both received and shared through us. How would being transparent change the way you are with people?
I'm going to put that in the chat for us. So there it is. And let's take a couple of minutes to think about what Tina has offered here with this quote, and can write down your thoughts if you wish. I'm going to set a little timer for us. Okay, if anyone would care to share their thoughts on this quote, if you'd like to, you can put something in the chat, or if you'd like to speak it into the space here, we can go popcorn style. And I think I'll start, because as I was listening to Tina share her reflection, I saw just how beautifully all of that tied in together. And I think that if I'm honest with people about who I am and authentic, then I can have an authentic relationship with them as well. And I see a response in the chat. Dean says, it would allow me to quell my fears, insecurities, and past hurts to finally flow through me. This should bring me to forgiveness for myself and others. Thank you, Dean, for sharing that. Do we have any other comments at this time?
I'll make a comment.
Please do.
I wrote down flow and shift and open to movement. And I was thinking, Tina, your reflection was really moving and very resonant. That when you do that, like Dean said, it lets you let go of fear, because you're moving with the flow, and you're not all contracted within yourself. That's it was just very simple, but also really powerful. So thank you.
Thank you, Jazz, for sharing that. Let's see, Dana has a comment for us. I'd be more aware and with others and less concerned about me, and able to offer the full and real me to others. And Myra says, it connects me with others by showing my authentic, fallible humanness. Thank you very much for those comments. Okay. So now I think Tina would like to share a Mary Oliver poem with us.
Yes. This is Mary Oliver's The Journey. One day, you finally knew what you had to do and began, though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice. Though the whole house began to tremble and you felt the old tug at your ankles. Mend my life, each voice cried, but you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do, though the wind pried with its stiff fingers at the very foundations, though their melancholy was terrible. It was already late enough and a wild night, and the road full of fallen branches and stones. But little by little, as you left their voices behind, the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds, and there was a new voice, which you so slowly recognized as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing you could do, determined to save the only life you could save. Okay. All right, with that, I know that Lori also wanted to share a reading. And so I'm going to switch it back over to her and give her the floor.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you so much for that poem. So this is called Holy Pausing. In her book, The Soul's Slow Ripening, 12 Celtic Practices for Seeking the Sacred, artist and retreat leader Christine Walters Paintner suggests the ancient monastic practice of statio as a way to remind ourselves of the holiness of transitions. In the monastic tradition, statio is the practice of stopping one thing before beginning another. It is the acknowledgement that in the space of transition and threshold is a sacred dimension, a holy pause full of possibility. This place between is a place of stillness, where we let go of what came before and prepare ourselves to enter fully into what comes next. When we pause between activities or spaces or moments in our days, we open ourselves to the possibility of discovering a new kind of presence, to the darkness of in-between times. When we rush from one thing to another, we skim over the surface of life, losing the sacred attentiveness that brings forth revelations in the most ordinary of moments. Statio calls us to a sense of reverence for slowness, for mindfulness, and for the fertile dark spaces between our goals, where we can pause and center ourselves and listen. We can open up a space within for God to work. We can become fully conscious of what we are about to do rather than mindlessly completing another task. In the days ahead, become aware of all the times you cross a threshold. This might be moving from one space to another, entering through a doorway, transitioning from one activity to the next, or tending the thresholds of the day, especially at dawn and dusk. Pause at each and offer a short blessing, simply becoming aware of the possibilities alive in the moment. See if the threshold helps call forth the thinness of this moment, making the voice of the divine more accessible. And now we will have a tune from Enya called Anywhere Is. Give me a moment to cue that up.
The thing that's different about a Verbo vacation home, you always have the whole place to yourself.
Let me share the screen and then we'll play that.
I walk the maze of moments, but everywhere I turn to begins a new beginning, but never finds a finish. I walk to the horizon, and there I find another. It all seems so surprising, and then I find that I go there, I go there, travel and stay anywhere. Moon upon the ocean is swept around in motion, without ever knowing the reason for its blowing. In motion on the ocean, the wind still keeps on moving, the waves still keep on waving, and I still keep on going. You go there, you go forever, I go there, travel, stay anywhere. I wonder if the stars have the life that is to be mine, and will they let their light shine and no more need to follow? I look up to the heavens, the night is clouded over. It's fog of constellation, no Milner, no Orion. The shells upon the roadsides have taken from their own lines the echo of their story. When I hear a low sigh, as willow words are weaving and willow waves are leaving, but should I be believing that I am only dreaming? You go there, you go forever, I go there, it's my way, we stay anywhere. To leave the dread of all time and let it make you dark line, in hopes that I can still find the way back to the moment I took the turn and turned to begin a new beginning. Still looking for the answer, I cannot find the finish. It's either this or that way, it's one way or the other. It should be one direction, it could be on reflection. The turn I had just taken, the turn that I was making, I might be just beginning, I might be near the end.
Thank you, Lori. I wanted to take this time to thank you for being with us today. If this time has been beneficial to you, would you please consider making a donation to Chime? Go to our website, chime.org, chimeofmaine.org, click on Connect and select Donate from the drop-down menu. Chime is a registered 501c3 organization. While there, enjoy the many offerings of our redesigned website. We tried to leave something off on a higher note, and I will say that this was a very emotional time for me, and thank you for your caring and understanding of that. I offer you a benediction for the journey as we depart. Divine presence, as we navigate the sometimes turbulent waters of change, may we be enabled to rest in you and trust your guidance. May your light guide our steps on the journey, and may you hold our hand when we need a little steadying. May we find joy and companions on the path of life.